So today we're gonna talk about the transits. Um, hope this is getting through correctly. Um, Transits. We spoke a lot about natal planets. Natal planets. Natal planets are planets that, when you're born, the astrologer needs three things. You need three things. That's date of birth, location of birth, and time. Time's hard. A lot of people can't get the time, but I encourage you, if you don't have the time, that's okay. Just do your best, and you'll see more of you'll see stuff, but maybe not as detailed, but you'll see stuff. Just learn. Transits. So let, just go back to natal. Natal planets are the map of the time of your birth. Transits are they're the times of the planets in different in a different date despite your birthday. A lot of people would say transits are what they are today. Yeah, true. We could say that. But transits are also of the past and the future. So let's just say, um, let's look at this guy's chart. So if you're Watson TV, born January 19th, 1970, at Smithtown, New York, at 7 p.m. Your natal planets are in black. They never move. Those are all natal planets. They don't move. 29-degree sun in Capricorn in the fifth house. There you go. Transits. This is May 31, 2022. The transits of of today are in green. They're in green. Here's your Pluto. Here's your Saturn. Here's your Neptune. Jupiter, Mars, Venus, Uranus, Mercury, the Sun, the Moon. Okay. So they are the planets that are today. If you go scroll a little bit further down on astro.com, you can find this in a few other sites. It's not just astro.com. You could see in green, these are the planets and where they're at, and what sign, and what degree. And the natal ones are here. They never move. That's great. But transits are also the location of where you want to see, or what date the planets were in the past or in the future. So let's just say I give you, maybe you had a death in your family and you could plug in and see the date of the transit and where a certain planet was in the location of the date of the death of your loved one, or your marriage, or an important date in the past. You could see that. Um, you could also see where transits are going to be in the future. What age, where, where they're going to be, what house. Okay. So let's say if we're watching on TV, watching TV today, he's got Saturn in the 6th. He's got Neptune in the 8th. He's got Jupiter in the 8th. He's got Mars in the 8th. He's got Venus in the 9th. And then you could break that down into all different interpretations. There are tons of different interpretations that are out there. But transits are where the planets were, or where will they be despite the date of birth. So they're constantly moving. Transits are constantly moving. The natal ones don't move. They don't move at all. Um, yeah. So if the astrologers, if they're a good astrologer, they'll take a date of the person who wants to question a certain day, and what they'll do is they'll question. There's fireworks in the back. Uh, okay, are we done? All right, that's crazy. Just give me a second here. All right, so a good astrologer will take a date. A good astrologer will take a date and they'll look up a certain date in the future or in the past in a certain book. It's called emphasis. Emphasis, there's tons of emphases that are records of the degrees and where the planets will be, the transits on 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 those dates that are questionable. So usually a good astrologer will take um, a look to see where those transits will be in regards to what the person would like to know, what time they'll get married or find a job, or what in the future is questionable. I'm going to get into that. So, emphasis, let's just say you're Watson TV. You're Watson TV. And you got something, you got questionable in 2000. Well, something happened to you. Let's just say Something happened to you 2022, January 19th. Okay, let's just use that as an example. So the astrologer will go to the nth source and they'll look up January 2022 and they'll go down on the left hand side. You see the day, he'll go all the way down, and it's Wednesday, the 19th, approximately 6 months ago. And what do you see? You see January 19th, the degree is 28, but roughly it would be 20. It's turning from 28 to 29, depending upon the time. So what would that be? That would be considered a solar return. That would be Watson's TV, his birthday, January 19th, because the sun is above the symbol and it's turning into the degree of 29 in January. So that's a birthday. So if you've seen roughly, there's tons and tons of interpretations, but I'm just saying this basically. Let's just say if you looked at January 19th, 2000, 22 years ago, Mars appeared on his birthday, the 19th. It says the symbol that Mars, well, for this year, Mars would be in Sagittarius because that's the Sagittarius sign below Mars. So if you went all the way down to 19, Mars was 26 in Sag. And it goes on for all the planets. Like, but if Watson TV was questionable of something that happened to him, and maybe the astrologer would look at Mars as an aggressive energy, maybe Watson TV would say, what happened to me 22 years ago on my birthday, Mars would not be in Sag. Mars might be in another sign. So that's how it works. Like you could pick any day or time in the future or in the past. Those are the transits. Um, if you looked at Watson's TV's January, you go down the day, January Wednesday 19th, his solar return, you could see the moon was in Leo this year. But if you go back to his natal chart, his natal chart his moon was in Cancer. So this year, his birthday, the moon was in Leo. When he was born, the moon was in Cancer. So that's how transits are, transits would be. That transit would be that moon in Leo this year. His natal one, time of birth, would be the moon in Cancer. And so forth with all the other planets, like Saturn. Saturn, when he was born, was in Taurus. Saturn now, if you looked all the way down to Aquarius, it's in Aquarius, this right here. But if you go back to the Infrasaurus, you could see that Saturn up here on his birthday is in Aquarius at 13 degrees today, January 22nd, when it was his birthday 6 months ago. So what they do is basically, it gets confusing. That I know. It does get confusing. But this is how good astrologers work. So I hope that makes sense. Natal planets don't move. Natal planets are stationed. They never move. Transiting planets are in motion, or they were in motion, but not at the time of birth. Like either in the past or the future or today. And yeah. So I'm going to close this out and I'll start another one because I had so much interruptions. And I'm just making sure everything's okay.